from the perspective of those men, they can have anything they want.
Right.
So they're not going to choose a woman who's not going to be submissive.
Okay.
Even if she is from America.
Okay.
Because in their mind, she is not worth the headache. And this is the unfortunate truth about a lot of men in the world. They want a woman who operates in a way that they like. That's anybody.
Hi guys, welcome to Kenganda. My name is Janita Maya and this is the Repat podcast. Now we do have a special guest all the way from Tanzania. How are you, Mark?
I'm okay. Thank
Please
you for
tell the
having
people
me.
who you are.
I'm Mark. I am someone who went to Tanzania 3 years ago.
Yep.
I've been there 3 years. Did I say the same thing?
No, it's okay. Yes, it's a new episode. Say yes.
I've been there about 3 years.
Okay.
And now I'm here.
Okay.
Happy to be in Uganda.
All right. O'Shea Duke Jackson. Sometimes I'm happy to be in Uganda. Sometimes I'm not. But let's get into it.
Okay. O'Shea, you're leading this one.
So, Mark, you had a pretty powerful episode when Austin Holloman was living in Tanzania. And we actually revisited that episode. It got a lot of views here. But because you're here now, I wanted to revisit the subject from the horse's mouth. And that is because we're seeing not only this problem happening in Tanzania, but I've heard about this also in Gambia, in Ghana, other parts of the diaspora that, some of the African American sisters may be going, or some even the sisters from the Black British community coming back to Africa. And that is a lot of them are coming in single and, trying to date and things like that. And in some aspects, you're seeing these ladies getting with or marrying single men or dating them 20 or 30 years younger. Now, you talked about it in extensive detail on that particular episode with Austin. But firstly, I want to know, is that a very common thing that you see happening with the Tanzanian repats? I mean, African Americans coming into Tanzania, the women. Is it very popular? Or common?
The short answer is yes.
Okay.
But the long answer is, I don't know so much anymore. I know at one point it was.
Okay.
And I can't say everyone. I can't even say it was the majority, but it was common in the sense that it's definitely more common than it was in the U.S. I'd say a lot of women were coming over looking for love.
Okay.
Some still are.
Okay.
And they weren't necessarily getting what they were looking for.
What did they think they were going to get?
I couldn't tell you what was in their head, but from the looks of it,
yes,
from the stories I hear,
yes,
I believe a lot of our beautiful sisters from the States, specifically, we come with a bit more of a dominating energy.
Okay.
And sometimes that's not well received, especially not in a country like Tanzania that is majority Muslim.
Okay.
Where the women are typically seen as more submissive and they're expected to respect their husbands in a certain way that is in line with societal norms. A lot of those women that were coming that didn't have the best relationships, they didn't have a lot of understanding as to how the culture worked.
Okay.
Or they didn't care.
Can you give me an example? You said dominating energy. Let's clarify what you mean by dominating energy coming from women. What does that mean?
Well, I don't want to sound too harsh, but we do have a bit of a rougher way of dealing. Well, our women can typically be a bit more masculine.
Okay.
In the eyes of the world.
Okay.
Whether we can debate that or not doesn't matter. This is how people see us.
Your perception.
So the perception that we, and specifically our women, come with is we are sometimes too dominant. So the woman is not always submissive. I think a lot of women nowadays hear the term submissive and it triggers them. Because when you think submissive, you think a position lower than. And the truth is submissive is not lower than, it's just another part of. So a lot of these women haven't resolved maybe some of their issues. And then some of them just haven't adapted to the culture. And it's led to not so good situations occurring for a few of them. I can't even say the majority, but I know a few of them that didn't have a good time because of that.
Okay. So let me kind of examine this. These women coming from the West, America, Britain, they're coming probably with some level of education, some level of funding. They could run out of money, but at least they have some level of privilege, right?
Yeah.
Now, these men in Tanzania, obviously there's guys that probably do have a lot of money that are rich. But what's going on with these guys who have the wealth and influence? Are these guys already gone?
I think you know.
Okay.
But I'll elaborate on how I see it.
Okay.
I'm not too big on, just to give myself some background, I'm not too big on the whole dating scene.
Yes.
In general. My focus has been something else in terms of being on the ground there.
Okay.
I found out about all this later.
Okay.
It was a surprise to me. I said, what are they doing? How old was she? She did what?
Yes.
And so for me, it was like surprise after surprise after surprise. Because everybody was talking about, oh, this woman got beat up, or, oh, that person is having an issue, or you could see a woman with a black eye. And you're like, what happened to you?
You used to see that?
I saw it once.
Once, okay.
Yeah, that specific scenario. But it was enough times where you say, oh, she's going through something with her man, and she's going through something with her man.
Yeah.
And it is the scenario you described in part, that some of these women are coming and they typically have a little bit more of a financial footing, and they have a bit more education. And sometimes that could be intimidating to the man. But a lot of the times it's something that when an argument comes up, that's their tool to use against.
Okay, so
and no man, no person in general wants to feel less than because you have more.
Okay, so let me make sure that I understand where we're going here. Relationships, arguments happen, problems happen. Mm-hmm. The lady from America or from wherever just saying, I'm doing better than you. This is why you don't have anything. You can get out or something like that. Then the response could be, not saying it's always the case. Okay, upside. Now, and the difference is in America, if you say that, it could happen, but a man would feel like, well, man, if I do this, I'm going to go to jail, so maybe I should just leave.
Yeah, there's a repercussion.
But now, in comparison to Tanzania, what is the repercussion for these men if they do that?
I mean, I've heard it. We've all heard the stories. In fact, I could ask you, if a woman, I don't know if it's the same in Uganda, but I'll ask you in general. Yeah. If a woman goes to the police and she has a problem with her husband, more likely than not, what is the police going to tell her?
Go back home and sort it out.
So it's the same in Tanzania. Go back home to your husband, who you were saying is beating you, and work it out, because that's the culture. So
even for a foreigner, even for an American.
I've heard it from foreigners.
Whoa.
Yeah, and that's the culture. They're not going to change it just because you're a foreigner. You'd have to be a very influential foreigner, or you really have to know how to speak to them. A lot of us don't. You asked a question earlier. I didn't answer it, but I'll answer it now.
Okay.
You said the men with money, what are they doing? I'm paraphrasing, but they're not after these women, because to them and I'm not saying this from my own opinion, so don't get triggered by this. Just take it for what I'm trying to say. From the perspective of those men, they can have anything they want.
Right.
So they're not going to choose a woman who's not going to be submissive.
Okay.
Even if she is from America.
Okay.
Because in their mind, she is not worth the headache. And this is the unfortunate truth about a lot of men in the world. They want a woman who operates in a way that they like. That's anybody. You want a man who's going to behave in a certain way that you would favor. So they want a woman that's going to behave in a certain way they would favor. They just so happen to favor submissive women. A lot of our beautiful African-American women are not submissive in the way that these men like. And sometimes that causes friction, and that friction causes conflict. And sometimes it does result in some form of domestic violence.
Before we get into the domestic violence thing, give us an idea, because we're born in the West, Vegas, LA, close by, Sacramento. There is, as an American man, we probably have our own idea of femininity based on where we were raised, right?
Yeah.
But from what you can gather from Tanzanian men, when a Tanzanian man believes a woman is feminine, what are the attributes that this particular lady is exuding for him to say that?
I think it's universal, funny enough. I've asked Tanzanian men, because I've had this discussion before. And, I'm seeing the pattern with most of the world. The system the world outside of the West operates on is feminine women and masculine men.
Okay.
It's roles. It's not
Right.
you're above or you're below.
Yes.
Sometimes, yes, it does feel like that. And sometimes that is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying that everything done overseas is right.
Yeah.
So throw that argument out of the door right now.
Okay.
But to get to the point,
Mm-hmm.
most of these men believe that a woman should be able to cook for him,
Okay.
should be able to take care of the children,
Yes.
should be able to stay home and clean.
Okay.
A lot of the men are moving into a mindset where they will allow their wife to work, but when she comes home, she must still behave like a feminine woman.
Okay.
There are men I know that will wash the dishes, but that's not the common thing.
Okay.
A lot of American women and westernized women have been privileged to be in a culture where it is acceptable for the man to take on some of those roles. You won't get that same thing when you leave. You're just not going to find it. See, we get into a mentality where we kind of get spoiled because we think, oh, our men are the worst. You come over here. See, our men will tolerate it.
Yeah.
They won't. There's the big difference.
Yeah.
See, they're going to punch you.
Yes.
See, our men have a fear of getting arrested,
Right.
or they have enough of a gentleman's mind, what's left of it, right?
Yeah.
That they won't do that. And so the women sometimes develop a mentality that, you know, nothing's going to happen if I keep pushing.
Right.
A lot of them are coming over here and getting, I believe the pop culture term is Negro wake-up calls.
Yes.
I've seen it, and it's not just in Africa. I think there was one lady in the United Arab Emirates,
Yeah.
somewhere in one of those Middle Eastern countries. She got her version of that.
Yes.
It's not necessarily in the sense of a relationship sometimes.
Right.
It's sometimes just cultural differences that
Right.
result in you being physically assaulted
Yes.
because you did not conform to somebody else's culture.
Okay.
You can't come to another country and push your ways and expect them to just be okay with it.
Right.
You are the minority here.
Yes.
No matter how much education
Yes.
or how much money you have.
Yes.
Nobody wants to go against what they are used to.
Yes.
So these women are sometimes in a position where they go along with it at first, but the moment that argument comes, they've got that in the back pocket. Oh, you're broke.
Yeah.
You didn't even go to school.
Okay.
See, so, and this is the thing we know about women. See, the power of a woman. She knows how to hurt a man through her words.
Yep.
See, the man will hurt you physically, but she'll cut his heart.
Yep.
She'll say something that'll knock that man out of his mind.
Right.
So she, in a very verbal, non-physical way, provokes this man, and that's what it is. It's an act of provocation, and that's what's happening. A lot of our women provoke men.
Okay.
It happens in America.
Yeah.
And again, I'm not the expert to talk about this.
Yeah.
I'm not even that old.
Yeah.
And to be honest with you, I haven't experienced our people enough to say more about it.
Right.
But from what I see, because I have eyes and ears,
Yes.
and everyone can see it, sometimes we try to hide it. Sometimes we say, oh, you know, we can argue all we want, but the world perceives it. We can't just lie our way out of the problems we have.
Right.
Women have a problem. Men have a problem.
Yeah.
You got bummy, good for nothing men.
Yes.
And you have ratchet, good for nothing women.
Right.
The issue is neither man nor woman. It's somewhere in between. Something is not being said. Communication has fallen.
Yep.
Men and women don't understand each other anymore. I want to control you. Okay, well, I want to control you. I want to be the man. Oh, no, I want to be the bigger man. Oh, no, I want to be. And then it becomes some issue about power. Love is not there.
Right.
See, when the love leaves, you have these problems.
Right.
Now people aren't getting together because of love.
Yeah.
See, they don't like each other.
Right.
That's number one. They don't like each other. They're angry. They're bitter. They're whatever from the last relationship. And then the last one and the last one and the last one.
Yeah.
You have women with a body count of 300. Stuff.
More.
You know what I mean?
It can happen. But let me just I want to clarify one thing. You said that a man can hit you here. We're not in any way saying that this happens all the time. So I know somebody's going to take that part.
We're not trying to
and
generalize.
no, we're not generalizing that all the African, because you obviously have good relationships between people. You know, I've noticed it's not just these ladies come into Tanzania or Gambia dealing with younger guys. I'm starting to see it even in America. You know, you're seeing it like Summer Walker. I don't know if you know who that is. Little Meech, younger, or the guy like, I think Kiki Palmer, Darius Jackson thing. So you're starting to see much more successful women with these younger guys, right? And now on the flip side, when these women are trying to bring that to Africa, here's one thing I've also noticed. I don't see a lot of Africans, is there a lot of older women in Tanzania or in Uganda that deal with a lot younger men? As far as serious relationships, does that happen?
It's unheard of. It's more like a taboo because, like, what are you doing with a young man? You're seen like a mother to him.
Okay, so it's taboo here.
It's a taboo. It
unrealistic.
May happen, but it's a taboo here.
It's taboo. Okay, so in this culture, it's taboo. In America, it's a little bit now more acceptable if the guy's a complete beta male and broke and going to be dominated. Okay, so now let's talk about this one situation where there's a 50-year-old lady.
Oh, yeah.
That was dealing with a 20-year-old guy, right?
Yeah.
How old was he, 20 or 20 something?
20-something. Yeah, I mean, it's not a great story, but it is an interesting one.
Okay.
I had a situation that I had to deal with where I have a business in Tanzania.
Yes.
It's a community center. Can I say the website?
Yeah, go ahead.
Please.
AfricanMerge.com. Check it out, y'all.
Put it on the screen.
I have a community center. And when I was first opening it up, I had a woman reach out to me. She was watching me on YouTube and she sent me all these wonderful emails and messages saying, oh, I want to meet you. I think God wants us to meet.
Really?
Yeah.
Praise the Lord.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I said.
Hey!
And so yeah, they'll put on the whole show for you.
Okay.
But she had a very interesting lifestyle that I didn't know about. I don't really care what you do behind closed doors.
Right.
She called me one day.
What kind of lifestyle is this?
Confusing.
What do you mean?
Yeah. Confuse me. Shit, I want to know.
Sexually
No.
confusing how?
I won't say sexually because I don't know. Relationships get messy.
Okay, you don't know.
Yeah. And out of respect to her, as a person I do not know that well. Yeah, out of respect for the woman because I don't know her that well, even though she did me dirty on multiple fronts and in multiple ways, multiple times.
Yeah.
I won't put her out there like that. But I will say her and her 50-something-year-old wisdom thought it was okay to be with a man like that. And he didn't treat her so well. He was hitting on her. And then she called me and asked, can I hire him to be a gardener at our center?
Yes.
And I told her I would think about it. And then the next day he was already moving in. So
he was moving in her place.
Oh, he was moving into my place. Because we have houses behind the center.
Okay.
Where like workers could stay.
So his financial status was, if he was going to be a gardener in Tanzania, it probably wasn't very high, right?
His financial status was broke. He was a motorcycle driver who another ancestral diaspora connected him with.
Yes.
Or connected her with.
Okay.
So I don't know how it worked. I found out later that someone I know recommended him to her. They got together. And then when they had issues, she brought her problem to me.
To you.
Yeah. And we were good. We didn't have issues. I think she was having financial issues as well as her status in the country was a bit questionable.
Okay.
Because she was running low on funds.
Okay.
And yeah, she wanted him to work with me. He did good work for the first day and a half. He didn't work. I said,
that was it.
Be here, but you have to work.
Yeah.
Right? I should have said, no, you can't, because I didn't even say yes. I said, I'll think about it.
And
she was so desperate to get, and this is the thing, I didn't know they were dating at the time. I just thought she was recommending me.
So
something.
how did you find out?
Oh, this was after all the SHIT hit the fan.
Okay.
Yeah. Once he started acting up, when he didn't do any work, he had a car. It was a Mercedes SUV. She bought it, but he took it from her. And so I was always looking at him. I said, how do you have this nice car? And you're my gardener. Yeah. And so I pieced it together slowly. And then eventually, I guess it came out through him. And then I, found out through her as well that they were a unit of some sort and they were having some sort of relationship issues. And she was holding the fact that she bought everything in that house and the rent for the house. She paid for all of it. So she was always holding that over his head. This is a Tanzanian man who told me how he felt about a woman doing that to him. He said, I know that I don't have as much as her, exactly what you said. And I know that I haven't been educated like her. But as a man, I still want to feel like I'm in control.
Okay.
So when you hold that over a man's head, especially here, anywhere in the world,
Yeah.
he's going to react that way. And eventually he reacted that way. And I guess it became enough of an issue that she had to bring him over there. He didn't work. Like I said, I tried to fire him. He got upset. He didn't want to leave. He tried to take me to court.
Whoa.
I had to go to court for this. I got the court documents and everything. This man wanted to take me to court for firing him for not working. Then I dug a little deeper. She was in on it. She wanted me to buy her stuff because she was having so many financial issues and went broke. And I didn't want to buy her stuff because I don't really like her after what she did.
Right.
And so she thought, let's make a whole issue so that we can intimidate you into buying my stuff.
So she can go back to the States.
So she can go back to, or wherever she wanted to.
Where was she from? You know?
She was from Washington. Funny enough. It's always
DC?
DC.
Hey, it's a problem over there. Shout out to the DMV, Washington, DC.
I have a question. When you see these relationships, is it usually the lady who walks up to the man or like initiates something, or do the young men approach the older women?
If I'm being completely honest with you, I don't see these relationships. They just end up at my front door. The only time I see the relationship is when the person is having an issue and they're complaining to me. Oh, he's beating me, or oh, he's this, or he's this. They always vent, right? Or if the problem becomes so big that somehow it ends up, again, in my center. And so that's why I see these I don't know how they get started. I don't know who initiates. From what I hear, sometimes it's mutual because some of them they might want an older woman.
Okay, let's let Rachel and
Give them the
Kuhani.
benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
Well, Stati, can you hear me? Well, I don't really have much to say about this topic because I'm not educated on it per se. But I did see a few countries like Cote d'Ivoire have banned sex tourists from coming to their countries anymore because of the incidents that end up happening and the rise of cases like HIV and AIDS and da-da-da-da-da. Not saying that those people are bringing HIV and AIDS, but there has been a rise. But yeah, countries like Cote d'Ivoire have banned that. They're like, if this is what the tourists are coming to do, because again, there's the issue like you chose to stay longer than you wanted to, you were supposed to stay, and then now you have issues that no one knows even how they started, so they don't even know where to begin with helping you. So yeah, it's actually quite sad, but generally also like as a person, like just not saying that don't date border guys and gardeners and everything, but either way, know who you're dealing with, because how can you come from wherever you're coming from
the States?
You know, love. I'm not saying love people. You fall in love with different people, yes, but then, somebody with stresses, and you come and you want to show them that how much you're a bigger person than them. And definitely, not condoning violence or anything, but some people flip and somebody might put their hands on you. It's not cute or anything, but just be careful outside there in the world. Yeah.
You know what? That reminded me of a story that we know. Someone was telling us the story. She was at the coast, and these Maasai, is it the guys who wear like the Maasai things? So he went to one lady and said, oh, can we, I think he tried shutting her up. The lady turned him down. And then he went to the next one. It was a white older woman. And then he, I don't know, I think offered her some sort of something. And then they just got it on right there and then on the bench. Is it the bench? At the coast, you know?
This is in Tanzania or in Kenya?
It was Kenya. I think it's a coast. I don't know, Mombasa or Zanzibar. And then the next day, the guy had moved in with that lady from the beach. So,
do you want to go there and get a man?
No, I'm good where I am. Thank you.
You sure? We can take you up there.
No,
I could speak a little on that if you're.
Oh, please.
Yeah, go ahead, please.
That's actually something a lot of us don't take into consideration. These men will ask. So when you say who initiates, it's hard to say, but there's a lot of these men who walk the beach in Tanzania. I think Cocoa Beach.
Okay.
And I think every beach almost. If you see Maasai, a lot of them aren't really Maasai.
Oh,
Gigolos.
Yeah, they just dress up and they know the women are walking on the beach, older white women primarily, and they will offer them because they know that that's what some of them are looking for.
And they have
People
money.
don't know these countries are really, really well known for this amongst the locals. It's just not talked about, right? I'm not trying to put anybody on the spot or any particular country, but it's happening everywhere.
Yeah.
And the men know this, even the women. They have a big part in this sort of issue.
Okay.
They do, right? Somebody told me a story about Uganda before I came. Well, not before I came this time, but last time I was thinking about coming. And they said, you know, some of these ladies, local ladies, will get on a motorcycle knowing they don't have money. And then they'll go to their destination and just give the man their number. I said, is that really? He said, yeah, it happens a lot. And a lot of these motorcycles, their girlfriends or their wives will actually be upset with them because they made less money than they came with. So that happens.
Yeah.
And then in Tanzania, yeah, you have that. They'll offer. I think it happens in the Gambia too. Gambia a huge spot for that.
Yeah.
It's how it is.
Yeah.
And it's not just our sisters. Like I think a lot of our westernized women, or I'll say our sisters in the diaspora who watch this stuff. I mean, we try to have a standard because our people are already perceived pretty low. So sometimes it's our community's job to somewhat correct some of these things. And yeah, we don't always have to put it out there, but again, it's the only way we look is if it's out there, right? Everyone's doing it. We have to focus on us, right? Everyone's doing it. White people are doing it. Chinese are coming over there and doing it, right? They just hide it better.
Right.
We're the ones that are out there. They started these movements about it, and we're just throwing everything out there sometimes, and we look bad sometimes doing that because the people are perceiving. That's why Ivory Coast did that.
Yeah.
It's because they don't want to be
have that perception
as the whore of Africa.
Right. Yeah, well, that's kind of like the same thing with Dominican Republic.
But the perception. You come to Ivory Coast to have sex. So what does that make the people living in that country feel?
Yeah.
They're not
like they're
that.
all easy.
They're not that.
Yeah, they're not
But
that.
it's what they perceive. People think, oh, I'm going over there, to do this. Nobody wants that image attached.
Right. And let me just say this, because the thing that, let's say if you're in a city like Chicago, a city like Chicago has on paper about Chicago metropolitan area, like 1 out of every 25 people is a millionaire on paper, right? So metropolitan area Chicago may have like 200,000 millionaires. Okay, let's say if you're a black woman coming from Chicago and, you're saying like, I can't deal with these guys. These guys are broke. These guys are dust. You're talking about a place like 1 out of every 25 people or something like that is a millionaire. So, and then there's a lot of big money in Chicago, DC, these places, LA. A lot of opportunities. So at whatever point you say, I'm going to go back to the motherland and just, because it's full of opportunities, romanticizing Africa. You're going to go to Tanzania where like it's a country of 60 plus million people. You may have like 3,000 millionaires, something like that. 3,000, most of them men, most of them probably over 40, something like that. Already married. These guys are already gone before. And again, like you said earlier, I tell you all the time, you ladies who work here, these guys who have money here in Uganda and Tanzania, these guys know that they're like gods. You know what I mean? They know that. Okay, so then those guys are already gone. The best you could probably be is somebody on the side because that guy's not going to be single. Then you're dealing with these other guys who, okay, well, if I can't get somebody to take care of me, let's just put it out there. Let's get somebody who can fuck. And we're going to just be real. This is something that a lot of black women, they like that mandingo, warrior type of, this guy's going to pound me out. Yeah, that's what they're looking at. I'm just going to be honest. They want somebody to really beat the brakes off that thing, right? If you're going to talk about this is what happens. So if I can't get a guy who can take care of me, I'm going to get a guy that is, because a woman not going to be fucking no guy that ain't got no money, but he don't look good. They going to have either one or the other. So if he young, he going to have to be somewhat attractive. And he going to be banging that thing out. We're going to tell the truth. The issue is going to come, and then a lot of ladies try to do that. And look at Keke Palmer's situation. That guy would be considered to a lot of women conventionally attractive. Young guy, played football. But now here's the situation. All that screaming out of the bedroom, that lasts like, I don't know, let's say, for some of y'all, 2 minutes, maximum 1 hour. I'm not trying to be nasty, right? Let's say if it's 1 hour, which is long. You still got the other 23 hours to deal with in the day. Once you find out, as a 50-year-old woman, like just think about, what the Apostle Paul said. When I was a child, I spoke as a child. But as I got older, I put away what? Childish things, right? Now, if you are a person that is 50, it is hard having a conversation with somebody that is 20. Just even if you're not them. Just be honest. Even if you're 40 and I'm talking to even some of y'all here, I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? It's not that you can be justified in thinking you're right, but in my mind, that doesn't work. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And I'm looking at this person like, this is really silly. It could not be silly, but I'm like, this level of conversation that we're having right now might not be to what I think it is or what I don't believe it is. So then a lot of relationships is about similarities in, a lot of, even as friends, we got to have some level of camaraderie or values that we share for us to be friends or even a serious relationship. These women find out very quickly that their values and what they want and what this guy wants outside of it's not very much there. Okay? And then when you find out your values, let's say for somebody who's a really overachiever, you're a woman or a man, mm-hmm. It's hard for overachievers or successful people to be with somebody who's not like that. I'm going to give you an example. Jeff Bezos, his wife, what was her name? I forgot her name.
Something Bezos.
Something, whatever, right? She went to Ivy League school. She ended up marrying a teacher after Jeff Bezos. She divorced the guy within how long? Wasn't even 18 months, right? So now what I'm saying is women coming from the West, they may not even like African-American men to a certain point, but now that level of conversation, the black struggle, just think about you're dealing with an African who never experienced they don't know John Henry Clark, they don't know Malcolm X, they don't know these things. So when you're talking to them every day, you start to lose a little bit of respect, and it could be the other way around. This person is American, you're crazy, don't have the same values. So then you start having those clashes outside of the fact that these people are different, but it speaks to a bigger problem that we don't talk about. Why are you there f***ing that guy in the first place? That's what we don't deal with. How did she get there? And see, I'm going to go back. Let's dial it back. A lot of these ladies that are coming to Africa, you're leaving a higher percentage. It was different for men. Men can date a woman that's a little bit culturally different, poor. It's okay. Usually, not all the time. But from a woman who's been educated in the West, you leave that talent pool of men to go somewhere else you're not used to. It speaks big volumes about how possibly a terrible mate you are. I'm just going to be real. And that thing, like he was talking about, wasn't checked. You should never leave America in that perspective at 50, something like that. You get with a guy that is 20-something. He's broke. The whole thing is now you've understood I can't compete in the States anymore. I need a guy I can control. And the thing is that you're saying is these guys are not going to go for that. It doesn't matter that they're poor. You're not going to control me. I don't care who the fuck you are. And the thing is that a lot of these ladies who want to come to Africa and look for guys, they got to know that if that guy had his money, he would not be with you. Like it has to be the truth. If let me say one last thing before I turn it back over. Do you know Lizzo? Mm-hmm. Do you know Lizzo?
Yeah.
Do you know Mike Wright?
Yeah.
Who knows Lizzo's boyfriend? You ever seen him before?
Oh, I know the boyfriend.
What is the difference between what Lizzo looks like and what Mike Wright? When you put them in a picture together, what's the difference?
Is one overweight?
One is very overweight, and the other one is what?
Very fit.
Very fit. Mm-hmm. Do you think for any moment something happens in his life, he makes $100 million? Would he still be with her? No. Let's talk about Jesse Williams. Jesse Williams had a wife. She's a black wife. I forgot her name, right? When Jesse Williams got some money, he stayed with her for a little bit. But now, does Jesse Williams' new girls look like the wife? Yeah. Not even close. But that situation started off like that. So these ladies gotta kind of understand.
So,
Mark, what do you think?
Yeah.
I think now the thing that rang through my head, the entire scenario you described is those are shallow people. Man, woman, they're both shallow.
Oh, absolutely.
In the situation you're describing, you're dealing with one shallow person who is with another shallow person. If a woman wants to date a man simply because he can pleasure her sexually, she's a shallow woman. And if a man only wants to date a woman because she's young and beautiful, then he's a shallow man. Or vice versa. If a woman wants to date a man because he has money, she's very shallow.
But isn't that what most men do? Don't they just date most women because they're just young and something else?
But you could reverse that argument and say, isn't that what most women do? Don't they just date a man because he can provide for them financially? You look at the shallow and then the depth, because there's a deeper meaning behind that. Deep down inside, women want to be taken care of. That is in their nature. The divine feminine, that feminine nature of a woman desires to be cared for. And so the shallow version of that is I need a man with money. The deeper version of that is I want a man who can take care of me in these ways. A man wants to be a provider. That is the masculine nature of a male. He wants to be a provider. He wants to be a leader. He wants to be the one that you come to when you need help. That's what he wants. That's what he does. So the shallow version of that is I need a woman who is in a situation where she has to rely on me. I need a woman who has no money, because that's the only woman that's actually going to need me. So the shallow version for a man and the shallow version of a woman complement each other. A man with money wants a poor girl, and a poor girl wants a man with money. They're both shallow. In a way, they're both wrong. So in a way, they both deserve each other. You said most men, which is good, because some women say all men. So and some men say all women. So there's men that say all women are like this, and there's women that say all men are like this because they've been hurt and battered and bashed and whatever in history and trauma and drama and all this stuff. But at the end of the day, it's like what you said earlier. Why are you with that person to begin with? I have a hard time defending a man who gets with a woman and then gets upset that she's a gold digger when he worked his entire life to prove to a woman he has enough money to give her. It's difficult for me to defend a woman who gets with a man who is young, fit, and or better yet, I'll use the wealthy example, who has a lot of money, and then she complains that, oh, this man doesn't respect me. Well, what do you bring to the table besides your youth and your beauty? Because that'll fade. And when the man's money goes away, she goes away. So both of them have the same problem, is they are looking for a deeper connection with a shallow person. It's not possible. So the issue is really both of them. There's deep people. They're not man and woman. Those are deep men and deep women. They're rare, but they're there. I mean, you're not going to find them most likely with ease. But it's like you have to be okay with being alone long enough for you to find it, which is a sacrifice. That sacrifice of your time, your effort, your energy, working on yourself, that stuff is a sacrifice. When you can sacrifice that, then you deserve a deeper connection. If you can't go a month without having a man, or he can't go a month without having a woman because he's so lonely or she's so lonely and they just need it now, well, then you got what you got. That's the only option available to you, because either you have to become a man that can sustain himself and what do they say? Come up, become wealthy, so you can have any option you want. You can have your choice, or you have to become a woman that's so incredibly beautiful that you can choose, right? Or you have some value that this man needs, or you're submissive and something.
You heard that? You heard that? Or that was great. Or
because there's options. You have options. It's not one or the other.
Yeah.
So if you don't have something to offer each other, then, I mean, again, shallow people kind of deserve each other. Nobody deserves to hurt, but when you can't put your loneliness to good use, then you get what you get. If you can't say, I'm going to go a year without dating anybody, then you get what we think that we have to be in a relationship. We need to be in a relationship. I had somebody get upset at me because I wasn't doing what people were doing in Tanzania, where they were hopping in everybody's bed and getting freaky with everything.
Hey,
no, I'm serious. They were
it's like that down there.
Well, they were at one point. And one person's like, Mark, how come you not doing it? I'm working on a business.
Yeah.
I'm trying to build a community. I'm genuinely, and that's what I learned about myself. I'm glad I learned that because it taught me that I was actually focused on what I said I was there to do. Most people said they're here to do one thing and they were there to do another.
Let me add to that.
I trusted that they were there to do what they said. I learned that people don't actually care about the thing they say they care about.
Right.
Because their actions show them doing something else. For 3 years, I've built a community center. For 3 years, I've struggled. And for 3 years, I've dealt with people who do not actually want to do what they say they're going to do.
Right. And that's the one thing I want to say.
Sacrifice.
Yeah. And you see that a lot. And I think very great. But you got competition. Living in Uganda, I think Tanzania would be equivalent. The weather is nice. Standards are a little bit low. You don't have to really be like in America to get some level of prominence. You can't just be an American because everybody's an American. You need to be very productive, goal-oriented, and things like that. In Uganda, you can just either be, if you're white American, whatever, or just white person, African American or black person, and just say, I'm from St. Louis or Houston or New York City and get some respect as a foreigner. Mm-hmm. You don't actually have to do anything that is productive. Although, people would like you to do it, you don't really need to do anything. So now you get caught up in, I'm in my own business. People never really ran business before. They don't know how much effort it takes. And then they find themselves, dealing with girls or guys or each other in the diaspora, and you start living a delusional lifestyle because you don't have to work as hard. And now you're a quote unquote business owner. But the reality is life is really hard here. Yeah. Even if you have money, you can't get things done.
Yeah.
Every night I stay up till, if I go to bed at 4 a.m, I had a easy night. But that is just how much work it takes to achieve. And I'm working more harder now than I've ever in my life. Mm-hmm. And people think they're going to come over here and, I'm going to do this. And that they don't have any evidence of any of these things happening in America. And then once you get here, you don't know that the business owns you more so than ever because the day is shorter here in Las Vegas, which is a city like Las Vegas, New York City. They don't really sleep. Everything is 24 hours. Grocery stores accessible. Gyms accessible. You can do a lot of different things the whole entire day. Yeah. When you're in Tanzania, Uganda, about 7 o'clock, that's it. 8 o'clock, that's it. And so that's all. And you have to get everything done within that time period, and your day is done. Power is a big problem, right? So you don't adjust for that because sometimes you have it, sometimes you don't. Traffic is even crazier, things like that. So you're right. When people come over here, they feel like they're going to do something. Then they get caught up in the weather's nice. We go to the beach. Yeah. These booties are big, all of that.
Yeah, distraction. That's all it is.
Yeah.
And they're not wrong for wanting what humans desire, which is a stable connection with the person that could satisfy their physical needs. Yeah. That's what people need. That's what people want. But again, when you sacrifice, you will reap the benefits of that sacrifice. When you can go without, then you will learn more in that short amount of time. Because a lot of people, they do get messed up because of a relationship.
Yeah.
That lady, I feel like she probably could have did good business in that country had she not gone and been with that person, because it takes almost all your attention to be in a relationship.
There you go.
Yeah.
And that's what you have to be when you want to be a good partner in a relationship. You must give your attention. It's like being a parent. You can't just, I'll give them 10 minutes a day. No, you have to give your full attention to that child. So a relationship is like that. You have to give your full attention. When you make a commitment to a person, most people aren't ready for any commitment. Mm-hmm. I'd say it's easier if you tell the woman, hey, I'm doing some things right now, and this is just for physical satisfaction. And if you're honest, and she's okay with that, then that's more reasonable than leading each other on. Mm-hmm. And if a woman says to a man, hey, I'm looking for some sort of
satisfaction.
Yeah, satisfaction. Some of these ladies can go up to a man and say, hey, I'm looking for you to, you put it in a very interesting
bang, 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 bang.
Shit, please.
I want you to, give me some pleasurable experience and I'll give you some money. It sounds like you're transacting sex, but in a way it's just human needs and being open about communication to those human needs. So if you can be honest about it, then do that. But I think a lot of people have fooled themselves and say, I'm with you because I love you, but really they don't. Because they know they're not going to stick with you. They know that you're not the one. They know they're not going to stay with you. They know I found you at the bar last night. You are not a wife. You are not someone I see myself with long term. Deep down inside, they know that if they're any bit honest. But most people aren't honest. And so they've tricked themselves, they've tricked their friends, they've tricked their family, they've tricked that girl, or the girl's tricked that guy into believing that what they have is real when it's not.
Oh, no, it's not.
So I don't know. I don't know where I'm going with that one.
Go ahead, Jonah. You ready to go?
No. I feel like that was the perfect way to end this episode. But I want for our viewers, maybe someone out there, a female viewer is watching. Are you single? Like
me?
Tell
I
the
can't
people.
even speak on that.
Why not?
That's
Are you single? Are you in a transactional type of thing?
Oh,
are
no,
you
no transactional.
So what are you? Are you
I am married to my work, and I'm gonna leave it at that.
Hey.
so does that mean you're celibate or
It don't mean nothing.
Hey.
And I'll expand on that is to say that I like to leave relationship stuff completely off camera. Relationships get messy. They have a lot of complex turns and corners and things that are only unique to you guys. Leave it off camera.
Right.
You know, unless you really want people to know, maybe you want to be an example to them. Maybe you want to show them what's possible. That's okay. But sometimes it's, if you want real deep connection, leave it off camera.
Yeah, because I know somebody who had a girlfriend and she literally was bent over and took a photo. And like, what would have happened like if that guy would have claimed her on social
We're gonna
media?
cut that one out.
No, put that on there. Like, it was so bad. Like, he was like really livid. So if that was, yeah, like it. What if he would have claimed her?
We feel
So I'm glad he left it off camera.
yeah. We feel sorry for him and we hope that this gets
We're praying for him.
we're praying for him and we hope that he resolves that. But yeah, let's move on. Where can the people find you, please?
I have a channel called Mark Meets Africa, and I also have a website called AfricanMerge.com.
Yeah.
If you want to see what we do and maybe even be a part of it.
Yeah.
And we're expanding. We want to be in every country. You know, the goal is to be in every single African country. We want to be the people you call or that guide you through being in these countries, because you shouldn't have to go through what any of us went through when we came here.
Yeah, I would rather you call him and not me.
Yeah.
So,
but thank you so much.
Please don't call
Mark,
me.
for coming onto the channel. I mean, our viewers love you. That's for sure. They're asking for in the comment section. And a special thank you to O'Shea for bringing you into Uganda.
Pat myself on the back.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching this episode. And shout out to Mark Meets Africa. Please make sure you follow him on his channel. And yeah, you can find us at teamkinganda@gmail.com if you have something you want to share with us. And you can follow us on all our social media platforms at Kinganda Nation. Also subscribe to the Pan Africa Dating Show. We'll see you guys next time.